Hello, fellow patriots and freedom lovers. My name is Merle Hexam. I am coming to you from Otter Tail County, land of 1,048 lakes and one enormous swamp. I want to speak to you today in behalf of and support of a lady by the name of Wendy Phillips. Wendy is a genuine patriot. She's a real conservative. When Wendy speaks, her love for this state and for our country and for our Lord Jesus Christ is clearly evident. Wendy has firsthand knowledge of of our situation here in Otter Tail County because she actually drove up here and she listened to testimony after testimony after testimony of delegates and alternates who actually attended our caucuses this year. She's also very familiar with what has transpired over the course of the last 3 years in Otter Tail County. Because of this, my wife and I called her up and asked her if she would be willing to chair our annual BPOU convention. Her response was not what I was hoping for initially, but her response was actually better than I had hoped for, because her response was this: I am going to have to first pray about this and seek God's guidance on whether to do it or not. And she said, I'd let you know tomorrow. She then went on to say that if she does this, the establishment will come after her and attempt to remove her from her executive position. She also added that if it's God's will to do this, it's a hill that she's willing to die on. So my wife and I looked at each other. We had tears in our eyes because we knew that this lady, Wendy Phillips, faith was genuine. Wendy is someone who actually puts God first in her life. The next day, she called us back and she said that she would do it. And she did an outstanding job of chairing our convention, and everyone who attended our convention just loved her. So Wendy is an awesome lady. And now, just as predicted, the establishment is coming after her. They want to teach the grassroots a lesson. They want us to know it is they, not us, who are in charge. If you get out of line, the leadership of the MNGOP will come after you and they will squash you. In order to understand the real reason that they are trying to remove Wendy, it's imperative that you know the real story about what has transpired in Otter Tail County over the course of the last 3 years. Many of you have probably heard the lies being spewed by David Hann and Anna Matthews. These are all lies. Perhaps only a few of you have actually heard the truth about the shenanigans perpetrated on the grassroots conservatives in Otter Tail County by the establishment class. People who embrace a lie, either for one of two reasons: either they're ignorant and they don't know the truth, or they choose to ignore the truth. After I'm done speaking to you about what has transpired, if you still choose to believe a lie, that means you're no longer ignorant, but you're choosing to be evil. If you're a person who loves honesty, integrity, and transparency, this story that you'll want to hear this story. But if you're involved in politics for power, prestige, or for money, you probably won't want to hear it. It'll probably infuriate you, because I'm exposing the swamp that is the leadership in both the Otter Tail County BPOU and the MNGOP. Chair Hann has been working with the Otter Tail County Executive Committee for the last 3 years in order to disenfranchise grassroots conservatives and to silence our voice. 2 years ago, in 2022, the Executive Committee of Otter Tail County added several names to the list of delegates and alternates. And in seeing the photos of 29 of our 92 precincts, it was discovered that a total of 32 names were added after caucus night. Had we been able to examine all 92 precincts from caucus night, there may have been upwards to 100 total names added. They did this for two reasons. One, in order to entrench themselves in power, and two, to ensure that their handpicked Senate candidate, Jordan Rasmussen, would get the endorsement. They refused to do an audit or show the photos that were taken on caucus night. They have closed all BPOU meetings since March of 2022. The candidate who obtained the fraudulent endorsement, Jordan Rasmussen, not only was on the executive committee himself, but also his wife, his father, his mother, his father-in-law, one of his best friends, and one of the largest money raisers in the state of Minnesota, plus all friendly people towards him. Last year, 2023, the Otter Tail County BPOU sent an email out to 33 of us duly elected delegates informing us that we would not be allowed to attend the annual BPOU convention. The reason stated was because we refused to support the senator who had corrupted the endorsing process. There is no legal means in either the county or state constitution that allows them to suspend duly elected precinct delegates. After illegally removing a large swath of delegates, they then were able to make several changes to the Constitution, including adding illegal pledges in order to participate in the political process. The leaders from our BPOU knew that we were building an army of grassroots patriots to take back our country, and they've been planning and strategizing ways in which to maintain power, and it doesn't matter whether they have to lie, cheat, or steal in order to do so. This brings us to 2024. On February 27th, we, along with everybody across the state of Minnesota, held our biannual caucus meetings in two separate locations, in Fergus Falls, Minnesota, and in Perm, Minnesota. I was the precinct chair from the city of Perm. We elected 12 delegates to represent us at our county BPOU convention. I have certified our precinct elections with both our county chair and with MNGOP chair David Hann. This was also done by many of the other precincts chairs around Otter Tail County. Yet the MNGOP refuses to acknowledge this. On caucus night, the BPOU execs carried out their premeditated scheme to create chaos and confusion in order to invalidate our precinct elections. Number one, they reduced the number of convening sites from what used to be 7 different sites down to only 2. 483 people trying to conduct business was chaotic in these 2 locations. Number 2, the father and son of both of whom are part of the BPOU execs who were appointed as temporary conveners, both refused to open up the floor for nomination for permanent convener. The father, being warned that he was violating state statute, then conceded and allowed for a nomination to be accepted. He lost the vote, 183 to 39. The son, however, who was in Fergus Falls, never did allow for the body to nominate or vote for a new convener. Number 3, they created registration forms which force people to agree to pledges in order to be recognized and in the precinct caucus or to participate in any further conventions, which is illegal. They withheld PCRC forms from the precinct chairs in order to prevent them from certifying the elections on caucus night. Number 5, the Otter Tail BPOU Executive Committee then met privately 2 nights later with the MNGOP chair and the CD7 execs in order to figure out how to nullify our caucus and continue to disenfranchise grassroots conservatives. Many of who were first-time caucus goers. The powers that be then disannulled our caucus and canceled our required annual BPOU convention and allowed the 2022 delegates to remain in power, as the 2024 delegates were disenfranchised. It is the desire of both MNGOP and BPOU execs to allow those corrupt leaders in Otter Tail County to remain in power in perpetuity. The governance of the BPOU, which are the duly elected delegates and alternates from the most recent caucus, did what the Constitution requires. It called for an annual BPOU convention. Wendy Phillips chaired this convention, and it went on without a hitch. We elected new leadership. We elected CD7 and state delegates and alternates, and we amended the Constitution and the bylaws. If you are fortunate enough to have a person like Wendy Phillips, with the character and class that she has to represent you, you are an extremely blessed district. Finding a patriot like Wendy in the 21st century is extremely rare. Wendy is the people's representative, not a shill for David Hann or for the big money donors. If you choose to remove this lady, you are making a grave mistake. So please support Wendy Phillips, the honorable one who has integrity and honesty and is a fighter for the grassroots people. God bless you.